Travis Scott just released his 4th studio album, Utopia. And of course, the hype of this album has been crazy and everybody's been waiting for this to drop, and it's finally here. So immediately after listening, I was curious, what is everybody else thinking about this album? After 5 years, did Travis deliver, or is the general consensus on the album that it's a flop? So for this video, I looked all over Twitter and gathered everyone's thoughts on this new album. So here we go. So for our first tweet, the Travis Scott fan page tweets out, "Top 3 songs on Utopia, ? And our first reply to this, I tried to put this in here, the biggest Travis Scott fan, of course, Axe. And they replied to this with their top 3, which is Fiend, My Eyes, and Meltdown. And let me just say, it makes way too much sense that Fiend is their #1 song. Like, I can just picture the fucking person behind the Axe account loving Fiend. And yeah, he's going crazy listening to the Playboy Cardi. Okay, next. Damn Son says, Thank God, Schizo, and that it's a tie between Sirens and God's Country. God's Country is a very interesting choice in the top 3. I wasn't really expecting anybody to pick that as their top 3 song. It's just a very kind of strange and different track. Definitely great though, for sure. Alright, Halo says, I can't even say, because there's too many songs I love. Wemby Season says, in my opinion right now, I Know, My Eyes, and Thank God. Breezy says, My Eyes, I Know, and Till Further Notice. ZZ Kid says, Utopia Twins, God's Country, and Fiend. Overall, looking at these responses, I was glad to see I Know getting some recognition because that is definitely my favorite song off the album. My other 2 picks for my top 3 would probably be Till Further Notice and Meltdown, but there's a lot of great songs, so it's really hard to pick. Alright, next, Rap TV tweets out, Pitchfork gave Travis Scott's Utopia a 5.7, which is obviously a crazy rating, and people are going to start freaking out about this because, in my opinion, and probably the general public's opinion, the album is not a 5.7. #1 hater replies to this with, I don't care what some office employees think of music. Fight Hub responds to this with, cool 8.6 out of 10. Now me personally, I think the album is like a high 7.8, something around there, I don't really know. But definitely not a 5.7 for sure. 813 Denny says, what? And they're gonna give the next Peppa Pig album a 12 out of 10 again. So for those of you that don't know what this is referring to, basically Pitchfork rated the Peppa Pig album a 6.5, which obviously is higher than what they gave Utopia here. And I haven't listened to the Peppa Pig album, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, maybe it's not as good as Utopia. I'm just gonna say that. A Month in Hell says, Pitchfork said, write better bars, we ain't here for the beats. Alright, so obviously while I disagree with this 5.7 rating as a whole, this specific critique, or at least the part about Travis not having the best lyrics, it's pretty valid. Travis has never been a lyrical rapper, he's no Kendrick Lamar, okay, and that's a good thing. Personally, we don't need that. He's more of a vibes kind of guy, he gives you a atmosphere, not some deep philosophical lyrics. And that's pretty obvious when you stop and actually listen to what he's saying on Utopia. Some of my favorite include My Dick So Hard, Poking Like the Eiffel, and of course, I might still eat McDonald's, but I don't think I'm a Ronald. Like, come on, Travis, we all eat McDonald's from time to time. It doesn't make you a clown, okay? I know that's what you're trying to say here, it's not that big of a deal, bro. Just eat your McDonald's. You literally did a collab with them, come on. But yeah, just don't read into what he's saying and just listen to the music, that's all you gotta do. Alright, Was tweeted out, Travis easily has the wildest album intro of the year with Hyaena. Perfect way to open Utopia. God, I love this song as an intro, especially for Travis. And I say especially for Travis because after the release of K-pop, I was a little worried that the whole album was gonna be mid. And Travis Scott intro songs have always been a big thing for me. I love all of his intros, from Stargazing to Pornography, The Ends. Some of his best songs are his intros, always. I was worried, man. I was worried turning on that album, going into Spotify. But when I clicked Hyaena and I heard that little narration and then I heard that beat kick in, I honestly felt bad that I doubted him. He delivered again, and now it's up there with those great intros that he had in his previous albums. Alright, Travis Scott fans tweets out, Utopia owns the charts, Apple Music and Spotify. Let's run it up more. So Lil Zazzy replied to that with, Y'all made this mid own Apple Music and Spotify charts when it's literally the same sound as every song. That's crazy. Still mid. Just a wild critique right here. Same sound in every song is just, I mean, it's just wrong. Let's be completely honest. What the hell is that? Jay replied with, "God damn, I've never seen an entire album own the top charts, Lamau." Andrew replies with, "Modern Jam number 5, real music wins." Ganja Cat replies with, "This is absolutely amazing." Travis Scott parody replies with, "Utopia having the 5th biggest opening day for an album in Spotify history says everything. When are we going to start involving him in the GOAT conversation?" Okay, first of all, I just want to put a disclaimer on this tweet. I'm going to go out and say I'm not entirely sure if it's the 5th biggest opening in Spotify history, because I've seen a couple places say it, a couple places on Reddit, and a couple like weird websites, so I don't know if that's exactly true, but it definitely had the biggest opening of any album in 2023, because that's everywhere. And as for involving Travis in the GOAT conversation, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a little crazy based on this one album. I think we all gotta slow down real quick. Let the boy grow. You know, let him drop some more. All right, next, BB Bundy tweets out, "Utopia is nothing special. It's a solid album for Travis Scott fans. For people that are making it sound like it's out of this world, it's not. It's not genre bending or a new sound for Travis. This isn't even top 3 in his catalog." Okay, first off, even though Utopia just came out, I'm gonna go ahead and definitely say it's better than Birds. I'm not trying to throw shade, just my opinion on that album. Secondly, this is absolutely a new sound for Travis, and is one of the things I love so much about this album. This isn't your typical trap album like Rodeo or even Astroworld. Of course, he got some experimental beats, and while he did maybe borrow some of that from Kanye, we'll get into that later, it still is different than anything else Travis has done before. And you've got that strange beat on God's Country. When have you heard a Travis Scott song like that? And the strings on songs like Hyaena and Sirens are apparently a sitar, which is an Indian instrument. And I heard both these songs and they kind of gave me like an Indian vibe, so I asked on Reddit what instrument it was, and that's what it is apparently, so I'm gonna take this guy's word for it. Anyways, it works perfectly, and I love the mix of those strings in both of these songs. I'm not like a big music guy. I can't really like describe to you the technical details of like why it's good or why it's different, but that's just my opinion right there. Okay, next, Mike Malak, the guy from Impulsive, tweets out, "Hot take, Utopia is Yeezus Part 2. He follows this up with, "I Am God" is a direct remix in Modern Jam. Circus Maximus is Black Skinhead. Very similar sounds across the board. Still a masterpiece, just trying to understand if it was all intentional." Now, Mikey, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it definitely was intentional. Travis directly samples these songs pretty blatantly. But like he said in the tweet, I think Travis really pulled it off, and I personally loved both songs. Okay, AJ tweets out, "Listening to Utopia, heavily influenced by Yeezus, it's established that Travis Scott is inspired by Kanye, A$AP Rocky, and Kid Cudi. But at what point do we draw the line between inspiration and copying? Or are we being too critical because of the high standards set by Scott?" Of course, shows this image of 3 young boys discussing important matters. So like I said previously, I loved this album, and I loved Circus Maximus and Modern Jam, which are both where Travis's inspirations, specifically from Kanye West, shine the brightest. Although I definitely see the side of the critique that says Travis is copying older songs with these 2 new songs. For me, Travis just adds his own flair to both of these songs that like really makes it his own. So AJ again tweets out, "But we all know that Travis helped produce a few tracks on Yeezus. So is it really plagiarism if it's your own work?" So this is a great point, and I did a little bit of research. So Travis does have a production credit on I Am God, which he heavily samples in Modern Jam. However, he does not have a production credit on Black Skinhead, which is what Circus Maximus heavily samples. Also, a little fun fact I noticed when I was looking this up, Black Skinhead is actually produced by Daft Punk. I would have never thought that. Anyways, so you could say that he's really only copying Black Skinhead since he did have a part in making I Am God, but then you could also argue that he's reusing older material, which is kind of lazy, and that's a whole other debate by itself. Alright, next up, Cactus tweets out, 21 Savage when it comes to features, #Utopia. And then shows a minute-long video of a Michael Jordan compilation. Virix tweets out, Travis Scott recruiting all the features for Utopia, and then shows a picture from Avengers Endgame. Lou tweets out, "How I reacted when SZA dropped in on Telekinesis. Travis spared no expense when it came to the features on Utopia," and then shows this clip. Smirk tweets out, "Travis Scott and Beyonce on Del Resto," and then goes on to show a video of a Kobe and Shaq compilation. Joey tweets out, Rob49 had one of the best features on Utopia. He had such a commanding presence. I instantly was like, who is this? Definitely be tapping in. He was fire. So before this, I had only heard this guy's name from the XXL freshman class thing. And obviously, when I first heard the verse with hidden features, I did not know who the fuck this was. And while I don't think it's the best feature by any means, it was definitely a solid verse and definitely a nice change of pace from all the other features on Utopia. Overall, very happy with the feature list here. Some standouts for me personally are Tizo Touchdown on Modern Jam and SZA on Telekinesis. And for our very last tweet, we have ZZZ saying, society if Travis didn't put K-pop on Utopia. When this fucking single first came out, it had me stressed and I was like, holy shit, this album is gonna be terrible. After all this time, after all these years, it's gonna be bad because this single was trash. Or at the very least, it was just alright. It wasn't spectacular like everybody was expecting. But I'm not gonna lie, listening to it in the context of the album, it's not terrible. I think it gets slightly better with every listen, but it's for sure the worst song on the album by far. Just boring, to be honest. And that's about it. Tell me what you guys thought about the album, and yeah, I'll see y'all.